of all the different types of media, and then you get the YouTube people over on Twitch, and that's great. So, all right, let me make a YouTube intro really quick. I'm turning off the lo-fi hip hop because what we can do, this is just my voice. / marker. All right, so we're now doing a type tier list. All right, and then we'll do Ultimate Ironmon after this. All right, let's do a YouTube intro. / marker type tier list start. All right, so I recently completed a Kaizo Ironmon. I did over 600 attempts, and I have some strong feelings about the various types of Pokemon that are in the game. I played Fire Red Leaf Green, which is an excellent game. It has some quirks to it, but, you know, it's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed my time with the challenge. I think that not all Pokemon types are created equal in the context of a Kaizo Ironmon, because to remind you of what the rules are in Kaizo Ironmon, you can only have one Pokemon. If that Pokemon dies, you're starting the challenge over from the very beginning. All of your opponent's Pokemon are buffed by 50%. You're not really allowed to use held items, and your items that you're allowed to use are only limited by what you can find in the overworld, all of which is random. So there's a lot of rules and stipulations, a lot of things to make it a really hard challenge. And of course, for a challenge like this, where you only have one Pokemon that has to survive till the very end, not all types are going to be created equal. So I want to talk about that in terms of the Pokemon typing. So think about this as, what are the Pokemon types, the type of the Pokemon specifically that I consider to be the best types to get. If you're watching this on YouTube, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. That helps out a lot. Or if you would just want to see me live and chit-chat with me or make comments about the tier list, much like people in chat are doing right now, then you could go to twitch.tv/EconSean and see me there. Links to the full Ironmon rules as well as all of that will be in the description down below. So let's get into it. Firstly, I got to get rid of types that are not in this generation. Goodbye, Fairy. There's no other types that are not in this generation. It's just Fairy. So I actually think that I want to start with the type that I think is the worst type in the game. And the reason I want to start with this is that I want to start with this as like a benchmark for what I consider to be a good type and what I consider to be a bad type. I think that Ice is the worst type in the game, and I think that it's not even close. So when I think of types in Kaizo Ironmon, the main thing is that there are a lot of really good fire moves, and there's a lot of really good fighting moves. And Ice is weak to both of those. Ice being weak to both fire and fighting makes it just a terrible type. Now, you might say, well, Sean, there are some ice water types. The water covers the fire weakness. Well, okay, but now you only cover one weakness. You're also adding in electric and grass onto that list, meaning that, like, you have a lot of weaknesses, one of which is to the best move, which is fighting, and you're still neutral to fire. So, like, having Ice is, like, pretty bad. I think the best Ice types are, like, Lapras and Walrein. I don't think either of those have won the run yet because they have a lot of 2x weaknesses. I think pure Ice types are basically unrunnable, except for, like, maybe with color change or something like that. But, like, it's such a bad typing to have. Ice moves also, like, there are a couple of really good Ice moves. It's one of the best offensive typings in the game, right? You hit a lot of the dragons for 4x effective damage, but I think that, like, having that ability to hit something with a stab Ice move does not outweigh having an Ice type at all. So I think that I put in this in the C tier. I think that any type of Pokemon could win the challenge with the right stat spread and the right typings, but I think that Ice is the least likely to win. Okay, so now that I have that out of the way, let me start with, let's start at the beginning there. I just want to have that as a benchmark for things. Bug, I put probably right next to Ice. Bug is also a pretty bad typing, right? You're weak to water. Oh, you know what I actually should pull up? I should pull up a Gen 1 type sheet. Let me pull that up really quick. But Bug is a pretty bad typing, right? You're weak to, or not, did I say weak to water? You're not weak to water. You're weak to flying, which flying moves are excellent. I really like flying moves a lot. I think flying moves are really excellent. There's a lot of really good flying moves in the game. And I'm going to talk about that when I get to flying types. There are, sorry, I'm trying to find this really quick. It's right here. So there's a lot of good. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my type chart just so that I know. So you're good. So bug types are strong against grass, psychic, dark, right? But yeah, it has so many weaknesses. There's so many weaknesses of bug types, right? You're weak against flying, you're weak against rock, you're weak against fire. Flying and fire type moves are like really strong. Also, a lot of the bug types have really low BST. I mean, that's the main problem with bug types, that they have really low BST. Bug types like can be okay early on, but like they I don't know, their bug type moves are actually quite excellent. I actually really like bug type moves a lot. I think that like Mega Horn is really good. There's one other move. Silver Wind is really good too. Silver Wind is also really good. Silver Wind is like an ancient power, and like bug type moves hit dark types, poison types for super effective damage, right? Like that's pretty good. And grass types too. Like hitting all those for super effective damage is like not that bad. But defensively, I think it's slightly better than ice types. Like you're not weak to as much. Granted, bug is paired with flying a lot, which is like not the best pairing of all time. Signal beam. Signal beam is also really good. Yeah. I think that like bug type moves and ice type moves are similar, but I would rather have a bug type than an ice type. But like there still is like there's a couple of really good bug types actually. Like I think that like Scizor is like a really good bug type Pokemon. I think that Scizor could beat a run. Like that by itself is more likely to beat a run than like any ice type in the game. I think a Scizor's or like what's it called? Not a Heracross, but the other one, a Pinsir. I think a Pinsir could maybe beat it. I think Heracross could beat it too, with like the right moveset, with the right stat spread. I think all those Pokemon are way more likely to beat this challenge than ice type Pokemon. So yeah, they have 500 BST too. They have a lot of BST. So I think Bug is actually not that bad. All right, dark types. I actually like dark types a lot. I like dark types a lot. I guess one thing I should say about 4X weaknesses, I don't think a 4X weakness by itself kills a Pokemon's ability to win the run. I got to the Elite Four almost with an Aggron. It had a color change, but Aggron has 2 4X weaknesses. But I think that like having the ability to cover those weaknesses with a good defensive spread that defends against those weaknesses is really important. What's more important too is like having good ability to one-shot things, having good speed. I think that like it's pretty decent. So ice moves are the best moves in the game, but there's so few great ice moves, and making them stab isn't really important either, because you're probably gonna 4x a lot of the Pokemon that like ice is 4x against so many things, and it's 2x against some things, but like it doesn't need to be stab for it to be good. Like bug really helps a lot from stab. Like there's a lot of things that bug hits for are super effective. Like same with ice, but like the consequence of having an ice type is just really bad, I think. So I have ice a little lower than bug, but I like dark types a lot. Dark has a single weakness, which is fighting, and it gives you an immunity to psychic types. The problem is that fighting, there are a lot of really good fighting moves in the game, and they're very common moves. It's really awful to it also is the case that there's not that many good dark type moves. Like there's Crunch. Crunch is amazing, and Bite is okay. Other than those 2 moves, there's not really any good dark type like stuff. I think that like I think dark type can win the run. I think like an Umbreon or like maybe an Absol can win the run. I think that like Sableye, if you get a really good stat spread, could win, because then you have no weaknesses, but like that makes it harder. I reluctantly have to put dark at like the top of B tier for now. I might put it at the bottom of A tier, but. Wait, what's immunity to Mirko? I'm glad that chat's talking about this, actually. I'm very glad that chat's talking about this. This is good. This is what I want. If you're on YouTube, then feel free to comment below whether you agree or disagree. But yeah, dark type is really good defensively, but like I think, and I really value good defensive typing. I really think that good defensive typing is important. I don't think having a stab move is as important. I think as long as a Pokemon exists that's like a good vessel for a good defensive typing, I think that's fine. So I might actually put it like the bottom of A tier. I had Umbreon on my favorites list for a long time. The biggest problem is that you have no great offensive moves that you can use, and that's a problem. Immune to Psychic. I see. Okay, next is Dragon typing. I think Dragon types suck really bad. Dragon is probably like the only reason I would say that Dragon types are good is because Kingdra exists. I think if Kingdra did not exist, Dragon would be by far the worst typing in the game, because the only reason that Dragon is good is because of Kingdra. That's the only reason, because Kingdra makes Dragon like really good. The problem with Dragon is that there are no good offensive Dragon-type moves at all. Outrage is awful in Gen 3. Dragon Claw is a contact move, even though it does a lot of damage. Dragon Breath is okay, but it's only 60 power, so Stab Dragon Power isn't, like, incredible. The only reason Kingdra is good is because it has water typing, and water has a lot of stab moves that are, like, okay. I think Dragon typing is, like... The biggest problem with Dragon typing is that a lot of times it's paired with Flying type, or it's paired with the Ground type, right? You have, like, Flygon, you have, like, all these other Dragon Flying types. Like, the 600 BST Pokemon are banned for Kaizo Ironmon, but, like, it's all the good Dragon Pokemon are banned. The only ones left are ones that are really not runnable outside of Kingdra, which Kingdra might be like a top 5 Pokemon that exists. But I think that Dragon is only the reason it covers the water so perfectly. But that's the only reason that Dragon's like an okay on that. I would put Dragon in C tier overall because other than that, like if you evolve a Pokemon into a Dragon-type Pokemon, you're probably not going to be too happy about it. Yeah, Altaria. Altaria is the other one. So I think that Dragon is in C tier. It's not great offensively. Defensively, it's okay, but the problem is that you're weak to Ice, and I said that Ice is like one of the best moves in the game, so yeah. Electric. I think Electric types are S tier typing for this challenge. I think electric types are S tier typing. Only having one weakness, I value really highly. I think that one of the things that like the great Pokemon have is few ways to get hit by a lot of damage. And maybe it's because you have a good defensive type or like good defensive stat distribution that defends against you. But having only one 2x weakness is a way to do that, right? And even better, this weakness can be covered up by Levitate, which is crazy. Like there aren't that many ground type moves in this game either that hit. Like there's Earthquake, sure, but like all the other ones, like things like Bone Club and Boomerang, they're not 100% accurate moves, so like they're gonna miss sometimes, which is really nice. So basically all you have to really worry about is Earthquake, but you can cover that with Levitate also because it's your only 2x weakness, like, and you resist a couple things, right? Looking at my stat chart right, electric resists flying, it resists steel, it resists other electric moves, right? That's pretty decent. That's very, very decent. So, like, yeah, magnitude is a little bit scary. Magnitude, that's right, that's a little bit scary, but, like, I think electric is an S tier typing. I don't think it's the best type in the game, but I think it's S tier, or it's, like, top of A tier. I might redesign in the future, but, like, things that have very few 2x weaknesses, I value very highly, or things that resist a plethora of types while limiting their 2x weaknesses, I also value very highly. So yeah, fighting types, fighting being weak to flying is really sucky. Flying is like such a good typing. There's so many flying moves. Being weak to psychic sucks. There's also a lot of really good psychic moves. That being said, I think that there's so many good fighting moves. I'm tempted to put this in B tier. I think that there's a lot of really, really nice... Oh, yeah, Valiant Cookie, thank you for bringing that up. That's actually something that's also really good to talk about, is that having... So the way that special and physical attacks are split is that they're only every type is either only special or only physical in this generation. So like electric type is only special in this generation. Basically, if anything is an evolution, so fire, electric, grass, ice, where are the other ones? Psychic, water, plus dragon. So every evolution plus dragon, dark types as well, plus dragon, they're all special. Everything else is a physical typing. So if all of your weaknesses are on the special side, that means that if you just roll high special defense, then you're going to wall those moves even if they're 2x effective, right? So like it's that's something to keep in mind, is that having all of your weaknesses on one side is really good. And like Dragon does like get a little bit of benefit from that, right? Because the only things that Dragon is weak to or 2x weak to, are ice and dragon type moves, which is nice. But like my problem with dragon type moves, that stab dragon type moves are... Maybe I'll move Dragon up to B tier actually. Maybe Dragon's like a little bit like on the plane of fighting. The reason I think fighting is a little bit higher is because there's so many good fighting moves. Stab fighting moves can actually be really, really nasty. They can be really, really nasty. My furthest Elite Four run besides my winning run was on a Blaziken, and it was quite good. I actually liked it a lot. So even though it has some weaknesses, like fighting type moves are really excellent. Fighting doesn't have that many weaknesses, so I'm worried about it, but it's not like a super amazing tier typing. I might put it at the top of A, but I'll see. Fire types are S tier. They are better than electric. Why are fire types types S tier, even though they only have they have more weaknesses, right? You're weak to water types, you're weak to ground types. They're on different sides of the spectrum. Why do I think fire types are better than electric? It's the moves. Tar is right. It is the moves. You have so many stab fire moves that you can get. And there's so many insane ones. You could get Flamethrower. You could get Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire is so stupid, 50% chance to burn, so dumb. You can get Eruption, 150 base power move that if you're fast, you just one-shot everything. You can get, like there's other flame moves, too, that are good. There's a lot of 60 power flame moves that exist, right? There's so much stuff that exists. There's not very many water moves that are good. You cover steel type. That's another great point. You cover steel type, which is really good. There's so many reasons why fire, I think, is probably the best typing. Also, a lot of the Pokemon that are fire types are just fire types. And pure fire type is a great type. Like, one of the problems with electric types is the move pool is a little bit shallow. Like, you have Thunderbolt. But other than that, like, there's not that much that you have in terms of stab coverage. Also, Shedinja coverage. Yeah, like the amount of moves that you have as a fire type is, like, really, really insane that I have to put it this high. I have to put it in the S tier. Even though you have more weaknesses and the weaknesses are split, there's so much potential for good offense with it that you just have to put it in S tier for this challenge. Like, pure fire types have won this challenge a lot. There's a reason for that. It's because you just roll a good fire move, you roll a good stat spread, and then you're all set with that. So you do need special attacking, but even on a mixed attacker, I think you could make a mixed attack with fire types work too. I think there's so many good reasons that fire type is good. So yeah. Flying is actually, I like flying a lot. I like flying a lot. Flying offensively is like such a good typing. You're weak to electric, and you're weak to you're weak to electric, you're weak to rock, you're weak to ice. Being weak to ice is pretty bad. You don't really like being weak to ice. Being weak to electric is also not great, but that's not the end of the world. And being weak to rock is not the end of the world too, because rock is a great offensive typing, but all the rock type moves in Fire Red Leaf Green, they're all really bad. I actually think that, like, one other thing that I should talk about with flying, by the way, is, like, or with all these types in general, is, like, the type of resistance that you have matters. Resisting fighting moves is, like, pretty important in a run, because, like, one nice thing about, like, fighting moves, there's so many fighting moves. Resisting normal type moves also really important because there's so many normal type moves. It's so easy to roll stab normal type moves on normal type Pokemon. Like, resisting both of those is, like, really, really important. I actually think I think that flying is very good. I think I put it at the top of A tier. It's a really good it can both help and hurt a Pokemon, right? If you have Pokemon like Altaria, flying is not really doing much for Altaria. Flying is just hurting it because it's causing it to have 4x weakness to ice. But on certain Pokemon, like I won with an Aerodactyl, flying on Aerodactyl is actually insane. It gives you access to stab fighting moves. It makes you immune to ground type moves, which covers a rock weakness. Rock also, it also covers the fighting type weakness that rock has. So, like, there are good pairings with flying and there's bad pairings with flying. It goes both ways. I think overall it's a very solid typing. Getting access to, like, there's a lot of really good flying moves that you can have as stab. So I think that getting access to those, I put this as, like, A tier. Ghost is such a weird typing this generation. Ghost is physical, which always blows my mind. I always have to remind myself that Ghost is physical. It feels like a special typing. Like, the only good Ghost types I can think of are, like, Gengar. Now I can look at we can look at our list of things. So there's a list of Pokemon in Gen 1 through 3 arranged by BST. Like, what's the highest BST Ghost type Pokemon? It's, like, Dusclops? I think it's Dusclops. Where's Dusclops? Chat, is there anything besides Dusclops? I don't actually know. I think it's literally Dusclops. Yeah, look how many non-ghost type Pokemon are up here. Like, look, we're gonna look for Dusclops. No, Dusclops. Wait, is it Dusclops? Banette? Banette is 455. Is that really higher than Dusclops? Is that really true? Where the heck is Dusclops? Can I not spell it correctly? Oh, it's D-U-S-C. Okay, spelling is hard. 455. Yeah, like, the BST is so low. There's Gengar. Gengar is the only one. Gengar is 500. Like, this is the highest BST Pokemon, and it is a, it's not even a pure ghost type. It's a poison ghost, which makes it weak to psychic types. It's weak to ghost types. Like, Gengar is okay. I think Gengar could maybe win the run, but Ghost-type moves are also just not good. Like, there's no, like, Shadow Punch is not a great move. Like, there's not really a good reason I would want to stab Ghost-type move. Ghost as a typing offensively is just not very good. What are you strong? You're strong against... You can't hit Normal-type Pokemon, which there's a bunch of Normal-type Pokemon in the game, so that's a problem. You hit Ghost 2x effective, you hit Psychic, and that's it. It's not a great offensive typing. It's kind of nice defensively because you wall all the fighting Normal-type moves, which there's a bunch of, but it's like it's not great. I probably put it at the bottom B tier, maybe in C tier I'd put it, but like it's pretty bad. Yeah, Dark is way better than Ghost offensively, and Dark covers a lot of the weaknesses. Like that's why I have Dark so high, and there's more good Dark type moves too. Like the Ghost has so many issues with it. The BST is a big issue. Like one of the reasons that like all of these types, there's some high BST Pokemon that gives it a chance. Like I don't think with Ghost that exists. So. Immunity is nice, but like you have to balance out everything, right? You got to balance everything. Like the immunity is nice. That's why it's in B and not C tier. I think it's because of that immunity, but I might bump it down eventually. Next we have Grass. I think that a lot of people think that Grass is terrible because it is weak to Flying, which I said there's a million Flying type moves in the game. It's weak to Fire, which there's a million Fire type moves in the game. You also have a lot of other stuff that you're weak to. So like, what else is Grass weak to? I'm just gonna look it up. Poison types hit you too. There's actually a decent amount of Poison type moves in the game. Bug type moves hit you. There's not that many Bug type moves, but the ones that exist are pretty brutal. And also Ice, which is one of the best offensive types. So like by itself, Grass is like not that good. The only thing that carries Grass and sets it apart from like Bug and Ice types is that there actually exists a lot of really high BST Pokemon that learn a lot of moves. So like there's a Meganium that's won this run. Meganium has won this run before. I think that like Grass types have the potential because you can just roll a super offensive spread. There are a couple good Grass type moves that exist, right? You can hit, I guess you can hit like Sun plus Solar Beam if you get really lucky. Like offensively, Grass is like a pretty okay type, right? You hit Ground and Rock for 2x effective damage. You hit Water for 2x effective damage. Water has very few weaknesses, so being able to hit Water for super effective damage is actually a pretty big deal. Yeah, Meganium's the only Grass to have won. Like, I think that Grass is probably like the top of C tier. Like, there are a lot of other types I'd rather have, but I think Grass is like a more runnable type than Bug or Ice in general. I mean, Ice is just awful runnability. I think that like Grass is slightly less runnable than Ghost. I think this is about the right spot. I think it's top of C tier. It has a lot of weaknesses, has a lot of stuff. Even with Flash Fire, like being weak to Ice sucks. Being weak to Ice is awful. Being weak to Flying is awful too. There's so many good flying moves. There's like Aeroblast. You're hit by a stab Aeroblast and just die. So it's not great. All right, ground types. I don't know how I feel about ground types, man. So you have 2Xs against a lot of moves. Ground is like one of the best offensive typings of all time, right? You're good against Poison, Rock, Steel, Fire, Electric. All of those things are really important types. Being good against Steel is like really important because Steel is a wall for many, many different sets. Problem with Ground, right? So Ground is weak against Poison there's no way that's right. Yeah, Ground is weak against Water, Grass, and Ice. Being weak against Water and Grass, not the biggest deal. Being weak against Ice, a little bit of a bigger deal. I'm trying to think of what ground types are even like. There are a lot of pretty decent ground types out there. The problem is that the ground is typically paired with something else that makes it really interesting to think about whether it's good or not. Like the best ground typing, in my opinion, is probably Swampert. I think Swampert's typing is actually like secretly insane. Even though you have a 4x weakness to Grass type moves kind of suck. And there's not that many of them that there's a couple that you have to worry about from other type Pokemon, but like having access to Stab, Earthquake, and Stab like ground type moves is pretty insane. Ground is one of the best typings offensively. So the existence of Swampert has won the run before. I think it can easily win the run again if you just like run it, get lucky at the Elite Four. I actually also think, where is this Pokemon? Aggron. I think Aggron can win the run too. Even though Aggron has multiple 2x weaknesses, or multiple 4x weaknesses, sorry. It's 4x weak to fighting. It's 4x weak to... Wait, oh no, this is a rock type. This is a rock type. I'm dumb. Wait, ignore what I just said. Aggron's a rock type. I'm bad. There's a rock type. There's a rock. I'll talk about this when I talk to rock. Yeah. Okay, ignore what I said about that. Okay, what I said about... This is what I get for not having the types here. What I said about... frickin' Swampert, I still agree with. I think that Swampert is still really, really good. There's not really any other good ground types, though, that exist. No, you're good. There's not really any good ground types that exist. Like, what other good ground types are there? There's not really anything else. There's like Nidoking, Nidoqueen, and they're not that good. I think this typing is kind of rough. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the problem is that there's a lack of ground types. Ground type moves are insane offensively. Like, Earthquake is probably one of the better moves in the game. It's probably like top 5. Yeah, Flygon. Flygon is not great because pairing it with Dragon gives you a 4x Ice weakness. That is not great. I think that I'm gonna put it like in the B tier above Fighting. Because, like, the only good ground type that I really think exists is Swampert, but I think Swampert is really good. Gligar. How do I feel about Gligar? That's a really interesting question. I feel better about it than I do about a lot of the fighting types that exist. I guess I'll say that. Quagsire, Whiscash. Yeah, they're just, like, budget Swamperts. Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're definitely good. Donphan is okay. Pure ground type, I'm not as... pure ground type is okay. If Donphan had a little higher BST, it would be a total monster. The problem is that there's not that many ground type moves in the game, right? There's Earthquake and there's like Bone Club and Bone Meringue, but other than that, like, there's not any other ground type moves. So, like, having a pure ground type, you're pretty unlikely to have a stab move, and it has to be physical, too, which is a little scary. I think top of B tier is fine. I think that ground types being at the top of B tier is fine. I think it's, like, a little better than fighting types. I would definitely rather have them than Dragon. I'd definitely rather have them than Ghost. I think this is about right. I think this feels right to me. This feels about right. Dig sucks so bad. Two-turn moves are so bad, you're just asking to get freaking Destiny bonded with two-turn moves. I've seen it happen to many people. Two-turn moves are really suspicious. Yeah, I really don't like two-turn moves a lot. All right, next we have Normal. This might be controversial, but I think Normal is an S-tier typing. I put it right below Electric. Why is Normal an S-tier typing? The quantity of normal moves in Fire Red Leaf Green is completely nuts. You are so likely to have a stab normal type move, and there's a lot of really insane normal type moves. There's a lot of really crazy normal type moves. There's things like Hyper Voice, which is like a 90 power normal type move or something like that. There are things like Swift, which is like an okay move. It's not like a great move, but it's like 60 power. You're making it 90 with your stab. It only has one weakness, which is fighting. You get an immunity to ghost type moves, which is whatever. That like doesn't really mean much. There's not that many ghost type moves. Yeah, there's Tri Attack, which is insane. There's Body Slam, which is really, really good. There's Slash. I recently ran a Snorlax that had Stab Slash all the way up to the fight before the Elite Four. It was really, really good. Offensively, yeah, it's only resisted by like Rock and Steel too, which is also really good, which means that you can cover that really easily with something else. Like, one problem with normal type moves is that you really, like, normal type moves on other Pokemon are not great because they don't really cover you in any meaningful way, but the second that they are your primary move type, they become really good because they get that same type attack advantage that you get from being the same type, and that makes it pack a lot more punch and makes it way more likely that you can carry on. I think that, like, a lot of normal types have run this challenge. I think that, like, it's such a good typing. It's easy to get a run off the ground with a good normal type because there's so many stat spreads that could work. You're so likely to get a stab move. A lot of the normal types learn a ton of moves anyways. Like, it's just a really good typing. I think it's definitely in the S tier. I think it's slightly worse than Electric because it's very similar to Electric, but you have, like, the move pool, but then you don't have the resistances, and you can't cover. Being weak to fighting is a bad weakness, though. That's one thing that I'll say. Slacking is banned, so you can't do that. But yeah, like freaking Snorlax, you know, Porygon 2, Kangaskhan. There's so many good high BST Pokemon that, like, it's good. I think I put it slightly below Electric, though, because even though there's more offensive potential for Normal, there's less defensive potential for Normal. There's more defensive potential for Electric. I value that higher because when you get to the Elite Four, you're not going to be one-shotting things anyways. So, yeah, Blissey. I forgot about Blissey, too. So, all right, poison types. Poison is such an interesting typing. There's so many interesting poison types. There's things like Crobat, which I think Crobat is quite good. When you pair poison with flying, it becomes really nice. Poison by itself, you only hit grass for super effective damage, right? Or sorry, you hit grass. Yeah, you hit grass for super effective damage, which, like, that by itself is not great. But then defensively, you resist fight, you resist poison, you resist grass. Like, it's like an okay typing offensively. It's like an okay typing defensively. It's like, it has nothing like super great going for it. But, like, there's some pairings that are really good. I think that, like, Crobat is really good. I think that I'm trying to think of other Pokemon that are good with poison. Yeah, like things like Gengar is not amazing. Nidoqueen King are also not amazing here. Like, it's fine. Immunity getting poisoned is really good. Oh, Tentacruel. Tentacruel is really good. Tentacruel is actually really good because Tentacruel, the poison typing, giving you immunity to poison and giving you another opportunity for a stab move like Sludge Bomb is actually like that's the 80 power one, right? That one is like really good. Yeah, Muck has really high BST. My only problem with Poison has this kind of like ground type problem where like there's not that many good stab moves. It's like a pretty good defensive typing and the offensive moves are like pretty good, but like there's not that many good stab moves. There's more good stab moves of ground than there is of Poison. It's a nice supporting typing to have sometimes, but being weak to Psychic is a little bit scary because there's a lot of really good Psychic moves that exist. I think that, Bomb is 90. Poison Tail is good. Yeah, Poison Tail being a contact move is kind of whatever, but Poison Tail can be good. Yeah, Bomb can be good too. I think I put this around this B. It's definitely a B tier. I just don't know where it goes in B tier. Probably below Fighting. Have any Poison types won? I don't actually think that they have. I think they could very easily win. I think it's sort of in this tier of like, it's like okay offensively, okay defensively. I'm not super excited about it, but I think it could win. Oh, Seviper's won. Yeah, Seviper's actually pretty good too. Yeah, there's a lot. Maybe I should put it above Fighting. It's like all these three are very similar to me, where they're like medium, like they're medium typings that have like ground poison in particular. They're typings that have not that many weaknesses. I guess I'd rather have the poison weaknesses than the ground weaknesses. I guess I'd rather have poison weaknesses than ground weaknesses. It's immunity to poison. I might actually rank it higher because of immunity to poison. Immunity to poison is such a huge deal. It's such a huge deal. It's so good. A Muck one as well. All right, well, maybe I'll increase it to bottom of A tier then. All right, I'll put it at bottom of A tier. Yeah, I'll put it at bottom of A tier. All right, you convinced me. All right. The records show that I'm convinced that it should be bottom of A tier. All right, next we have Psychic. There are a lot of good Psychic moves. There are a lot of good Psychic types, that i.e. things that have high BST, right? If I look at the chart, if we go here, we have Gardevoir with 518 BST, pure Psychic, Starmie, Psychic Water, although I'm a little bit less high on Psychic Water. Psychic and Water don't really complement each other very well. Same with Executor. I think that Psychic Grass doesn't really complement itself that well, but then you have like pure Psychic types like Espeon. Like there's a lot of really, really decent Psychic types that exist that I think that I kind of have to put Psychic in a little bit of a higher spot. There's also so many good offensive Psychic moves. Like there's Psychic. Extra Sensory is completely insane because it has 30 power points for some reason. Like it's so good. I guess other than that, there's not like too much, but like the existence of Extra Sensory makes me want to put Psychic. Like Extra Sensory is so stupidly good. Stab Extra Sensory will carry your run like by itself because you can use it in every single dungeon to clear out everything. It has a flinch chance. Like it's so good. Psychic Water is good for a pure special tiger. Yeah, I mean, I don't value that as heavily. Like, you're unlikely to get both abilities to be stabbed, but, like, it's, like, okay. The problem is that, like, yeah, Extra Sensory is so ridiculous. It's so good. It's so good that by itself I'm going to put Psychic a little bit higher just because of that move existing. There's a couple of other good moves, too, right, for Psychic types. I can't think of any right now, though. Are there any other good Psychic type moves besides Extra Sensory and Psychic? Those two are just so good. They're just such good moves. I'm trying to think of like Psybeam. Yeah, Psybeam. Psybeam, Confusion. All those moves exist. Psychic is also going at the bottom of the A tier. I think it's going here. I think that I put it. I think offensively it's better. I think I actually put it above Poison. Do I put? Ah, man, where do I put it though? Where do I put it? Oh, Luster Purge. I forgot about. How can I forget about Luster Purge? Mist Ball. Mist Ball exists too. Oh man, there's so many good Psychic type moves. I knew I was forgetting something. I might put it above flying types. I don't know about how I feel about Psychic versus Dark. Pure Psychic types are pretty decent. They have a lot of, like you resist fighting type moves, which is nice, and you resist Psychic type moves, which is nice. You only take X2 damage from Bug, Ghost, and Dark type moves, of which there are not a lot of those types of moves in the game. There's not, even though you have more weaknesses than Dark type, it's very similar to Dark type. Like, Psychic is better offensively. Dark type is, like, better defensively, but they're very, very similar to me. They're very similar. I think a pure Psychic type is more likely to win than a pure Dark type, so I guess that I should put Psychic higher than Dark. I guess I should do that. I should put Psychic like a little higher than Dark, because I think you're more likely to win with a pure Psychic type than a pure Dark type. There's more high BST Pokemon that are Psychic than Dark. So for that reason, I have to put it higher. But you shouldn't sleep on Dark type either. So, all right. Rock types. After winning with an Aerodactyl, which is a rock flying type, I might be a little biased. I might be a little biased on this. But okay, so crazy things about rock types. One thing I didn't mention about ground, by the way, that I think is like pretty important is immunity to Sandstorm. Sandstorm immunity, really big. Resisting normal type moves for rock types, really insane. Resisting normal type moves is so ridiculous. Like, there's so many normal type moves in the game that, like, resisting them can mean that you wall certain Pokemon. So, like something like Aggron that is rock steel, Aggron literally resists almost every single move that's not 2x or 4x against it. Like rock steel means that basically every move that isn't a fighting or a ground type or a water type is going to be resisted by that. And that means that, like, you're walling almost every Pokemon. Like rock has the ability to wall so many things. Like, you're weak to a good amount of types, but you're not weak to fire. You're only weak to water, which there's not an insane amount of water type moves. You're weak to grass. There's not an insane amount of grass type moves. You are weak to fighting. That's a problem. Which that is a big problem. Being weak to fighting is a big problem. And then being weak to ground is an issue as well. Being weak to steel is not an issue because steel type moves are trash. So there's that. Yeah, Aerodactyl is definitely an exception. I think that I would put this around. The other thing about rock is that stab rock type. There are a couple. Rock is a super insane offensive typing. The problem is that none of the rock type moves hit for accurate damage. I think realistically, I would put rock below ground. Like, maybe this is a little bit high, but if you get the offensive rock type moves, it's so insane. If you get the defensive typing of it is really ridiculous. I think defensively it's really good. You have immunity to Sandstorm. God, I might put it above ground. I think I might put it above ground. I think I put it above ground. Ancient Power also exists. Yeah, Ancient Powers also exists. Ancient Power is really good. Ancient Power is really good. It's not better than Earthquake, but I think that all the resists that you get make it a little bit better than ground types. Just like a little teeny bit. They're very close, but I think that rock is... Aerodactyl is very good. Are there any other good rock types? I think, by the way... There's maybe a hot take, but I think that Aggron can win a run. I think that even though you have 2 4x weaknesses, I think that Aggron can win a run because it resists so many things. So basically, if you don't run into a Pokemon with 4x weakness, you're not taking any damage at all. So all you have to do is not worry about that. Tyranitar is rock, but Tyranitar is banned because it's 600 BST. So yeah, I actually think that Aggron can win a run. That's my hot take of the day. Is that Aggron can win a run? That's my hot take of the day. Shuckle, yeah, Shuckle's actually good. I think Shuckle's actually good too. Shuckle's also really good. Shuckle, Aggron, and Aerodactyl, I think can all win a run. I already demonstrated one of them, but I think Rock Bug is actually a secretly good typing. It only has like 3 weaknesses. It's actually a great typing. Rock Bug is actually a very good typing. I want to see a Shuckle win. I'm moving Rock up to A tier. Screw it. I'm moving it up to A tier. I think Poison's probably better, but Rock meaning Sandstorm is almost as good as Poison meaning Poison. Sandstorm on Elite Four, if it's on the first Pokemon, can immediately end your run. Because if Sandstorm's on the first turn of any Elite Four member, you're going to be taking so much damage from that like having the immunity to that makes it so that you have one less thing that you lose to. It's like I had this and the poison immunity and it was super broken. I had this and poison immunity is very broken, so I think I put it at the bottom of A tier. I think that's about right. All right, Steel types. How do I feel about steel types? Yeah, I mean, 5 weaknesses and low accuracy. All right, you convinced me. I'll put it at the bottom of B tier. But the Pokemon are so good, though. And the 2 rock type moves that do exist are insane because they hit so many good things. Hitting flying types for super effective damage is like so nuts. What else is rocket? Hold on a second, I gotta look it up. Yeah, flying types for 2x effective is nuts. Hitting bug types is fine for 2x effective. Hitting fire types for 2x effective damage is really good. There's very few moves that hit fire types for 2x effective damage, so the ones that do are really good. And hitting ice types is whatever, because ice types suck anyways. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, the PP on Ancient Power is whatever, but I'll put. You know what? This is bias, but I'm putting it at the bottom of A tier. This is bias. My bias is bumping it up to A tier. My bias is putting it up to A tier just because the resistances, the few moves that are good are really good. Like the immunity to Sandstorm is really important. So yeah, I'll put it there. You could probably move Ground Rock around, but whatever, it's fine. Steel types. Steel is really interesting in Ironmon because if you're a steel type, you're increasing variance, right? And I claim that increasing variance is bad, right? Increasing variance is not great because like you want as low variance as possible. But I think what my claim is about weaknesses of Pokemon is that weaknesses, being able to resist a large breadth of moves is like it lowers the variance of the amount of damage you take, right? I mean, like it makes it so that on average in fights, on your average fight, you're not going to be taking much damage because if things are hitting you with normal type moves, you're not taking any damage from that. If things are hitting you with like, you know, grass type moves, you're not taking any damage from that. Like the things that you are really weak to are bad. Like fire moves, really awful to get hit for super effective damage by, right? Fire moves really, really bad. To get hit by super effective by. Fighting moves, also really bad. I mentioned there's a lot of really good fighting moves in the game. You don't want to get hit super effective by those. But you add on, like, so there's two steel types that I think could very easily win a Kaizo Ironmon. I think Skarmory and I think Aggron can both win Kaizo Ironmon. And the reason is that steel types, when paired correctly with the right type, Steel Flying supplements the steel weaknesses so well. It removes the fighting weakness. It removes the electric weakness of... no, it doesn't remove the electric weakness, but it removes the fighting weakness that Steel has, right? It makes you only weak to electric, and it makes you only weak to fire, which are two, like, okay things. I think that everything in C is weak to fire, but I don't think that the resistances are so valuable, though. Being resisted to literally everything else is so ridiculous. Like, it can't be understated, like, how much, like, resisting every other move in existence is good. Because, like, on average in Kaizo Ironmon runs, what's going to happen is that you're going to be rolling through Pokemon, right? Because probably you're going to be rolling through Pokemon, unless you're a tanky Pokemon. If you're a tanky Pokemon, then you're just going to be sitting there, like, two-shotting everything. And then eventually you're going to come across a Pokemon that does damage to you if you're rolling through everything because you don't one-shot it. And when that Pokemon damages you, you want that Pokemon damage to be as low as possible on average. I think that steel types lower that damage on average. I think that on average, it lowers that damage. Also, it has such great BS insurance against poison types. You don't get poisoned, which is great. You also, I said that sand is a really big issue because rock type removes sand. It also removes the ability to get hit by sand. So everything that you don't get hit by super effective by, you basically resist, except for like water and electric. Everything else you resist, which is insane, right? So basically to have like 70% of the move types in the game not hit you for half damage is really absurd. It means that like only the times when another Pokemon rolls one of those 30% moves, which there are a lot of fire moves, there are a lot of fighting moves in the game, but like when a Pokemon doesn't roll those moves, you're not going to take any damage from those Pokemon, and you can use that time to either like heal to set up. So even if you run across a super effective Pokemon, if the next Pokemon doesn't have anything that's super effective, you can just heal off the damage that you took instead, right? So I think that Steel is actually an insane typing. The problem with Steel is the pairings, but I think that there are two feasible Steel types that could win, right? I don't think that Steelix can win. I think the ground typing really doesn't help at all with anything, but I think that Skarmory and Aggron can both win the run. I think Skarmory and Aggron can both win. I think they can both win the run in this. I think that they're very good. Let me look at this really quick and see if there's anything else that I missed in terms of steel types. Scizor, I think Scizor can win. Even though it has a 4x steel or 4x fire weakness, that's the only weakness. If you just roll really good special defense, it's not a big deal. Like same thing about frickin' Aggron is that with Aggron, the two weaknesses that your 4x2 are ground and fighting. If you just roll a really high defense, then you can tank those hits and have it not be as much of an issue, and then all the other times you're getting hit for half damage, basically. I think that all those Pokemon, I think all the steel types I look at here, like, you know, Registeel is pseudo-banned, but, you know, like all the steel types I think could win Kaizo Ironmon. I think that they could win. I think that poison types... I mean, I want to put it around here. Maybe I'm moving rock back down to B tier. I'm moving rock back down to B tier. I want to put it like here. The poison types are a little bit better, and the reason that poison types are better is because they supplement better Pokemon, right? Like I think in principle, Steel is just better than Poison. It probably maybe is better than Flying, but the problem is that the Pokemon doesn't exist to make the Steel type good. Like in a vacuum, it's better, but when we look at the actual Pokemon that exist, there's just no Pokemon that makes the Steel type like truly incredible. Like Skarmory does make the Steel type truly incredible. I think Skarmory can very, very easily win, but the problem is that the BST is so low that's going to be a huge issue. So like the poison type Pokemon have both better moves, but also I think they have like better Pokemon they're attached to, right? Tentacruel is an amazing Pokemon. Shuckle is a really, or not Shuckle, what am I thinking of? There's a couple Pokemon that are like really amazing poison types that are attached to it, that have won runs before. Even mono poison types I think are good. Mono steel types are maybe like good too, but there's no mono steel types that are there that exist. Also, one other thing to mention, offensively, steel type is ass. Offensively, there are no good steel type moves. I think Meteor Mash even is bad, except for with Compound Eyes. I don't think there's any steel type moves I would ever take, which is a big problem. I think that's a big problem with steel types that's like really, really bad for it, and that knocks it down a peg as well. Yeah, I might actually do this. I might actually swap Rock and Steel just because of that. I think the Stab Rock type moves are like too good, and Rock has very similar types of flavors to Steel, except for that Rock types have actual moves associated with it. Steel doesn't, but it's something around there. It's like kind of close between Rock and Steel, honestly. It's like pretty close. Very close between Rock and Steel. The Rock moves are, well, the Rock moves suck, but at least Rock has some good moves. At least there's like, what is it, Rock Throw or Rock Slide or something like that? The 90 power one. Like Rock moves are like pretty crazy. Like Steel has nothing. There's no Steel move I would ever consider good on a final moveset. Even Meteor Mash, I would only use with Compound Eyes because 85% accuracy is nothing. That means that 3 out of every 20 times you're going to miss, which is really, really, really bad. I mean, that's a lot of times to miss. It's really, really a lot to miss. So I think that's somewhere around here. I might finagle this a little bit in a second, but 85 doesn't equal 0, but yeah. All right, water types. Water is obviously an S tier type, but honestly, it's not even because the type itself is good. It's not even because the type itself is good. Like, that's the most frustrating part about water types in Fire Red Leaf Green. Water typing, like, isn't even good in this game. The moves suck. Like, the moves are not that... There's a couple of good moves. There's a couple of really good moves. But for the most part, the water moves suck, right? You have Water Spout, which is insane. You have, like, Bubble Beam is your next best water move. Like, that's... You have Bubble Beam is your second best water move. Like, that's not very good. Like, your water moves are not great. Like, defensively, you're weak to 2 types, which is electric and grass. So, like, why is water so good in this game? Why do I have to reluctantly put an S tier at the very bottom? Well, when we look at this list, like, let's look at all the water types on this list. Like, okay, let's look at all the water types. Okay, if we're looking at high BST Pokemon, if we go below Blissey, Arcanine, which are that, we have Gyarados, which is a water type, Kingdra's a water type, Melodic's a water type, Lapras is a water type, Swampert's a water type, Blastoise, Feraligatr, Walrein, Cloyster, Vaporeon, all so many high BST water types. So many high BST water types, and BST is kind of everything. So, like, honestly, like, when I'm judging this tier list, right, like, I would love to judge it on just the type, but because this challenge, the Pokemon quality matters so much, I have to incorporate that into there somehow. And so, for that reason alone, water type has to go into S. Like, the other thing about these water types, too, Melodic... Why is Melodic won the run so much? Melodic learns a stupid amount of moves. It learns to move every 5 levels until like level 55 or something stupid like that. Like, they learn so many moves. They have so much BST. Like, on average, you're going to roll better water type Pokemon just because they learn so many moves. They have such high BST. Having high BST, like having 100 higher BST than something like a Skarmory means that you just have 100 more stats to play with at a high level, which is really important. That's like really important. That's the difference between 2-shotting and 1-shotting something, the difference between 3-shotting and 2-shotting something, the difference between tanking moves and 2 hits and tanking moves and 3 hits. Like it's not that bad of a defensive typing that's like, back-breaking as a type, and you have some water type moves that exist, but the thing is that, like, you don't even need good water type moves to make the water types good. It's just good enough defensively, and then, like, the Pokemon itself just carries you. There's just so many dumb water types. There's so many stupid water types. No, it's not SS tier. Fire types are still better than water types. Fire types, electric and normal, are still better than water types because, like, even though more water types have run, there's also more water types in the pool, in the high BST pool. So water types are more likely to like win. Like water types are just more likely to win because you're more likely to roll them. That being said, if I gave an equal distribution of Pokemon, if I said I give you one fire type, an electric type, a normal type, a water type, I run them all parallel to each other at the same time, and I see which ones win first, I think the fire type wins first more often. I think that the electric type wins first, second more often. I think the normal type wins first, third more often. I think the water type wins first, last more often. If you take like 3 evolutions and then a Porygon 2, and then push them against each other and just run them in parallel until one of them wins, I think this is the order that they would win in. I think that water types would win the least frequently. The reason that they win more often is because there are more good water types in the pool of high BST Pokemon than any other type of Pokemon, and that's the only reason. It's not because it's actually a better typing in the game. It's because of the BST of the Pokemon. I think that's my like hot take about water types. Because there's no more moves. There's Bubble Beam and Water Pulse, and that's it. You can't teach HM, so like they don't exist, like, you know. So like really, Kingdra, like, it doesn't even have any good offensive moves. It's just that Kingdra has an insanely good typing and is high BST and learns enough moves to be fine. Melodic learns like 11 moves or something like that, so you're really likely to get a good move set. So yeah, so I think that like water types are like so good. So what's up? Oh no, I'll be good. Thank you though. Thank you. Oh my God, I just got offered more coffee, and that reminds me that I want more coffee. So, yeah. All right, so let me go over this again. So let's go over this again. So yeah, and to reiterate, right, I think that BST of Pokemon is so incredibly important, right? Like having higher, like the typing is a little bit less important than the stat distribution. I think that any Pokemon with the right stat spread can win. I just think that in terms of likelihood, this is where I would rank anything in likelihood. So let's go through this one more time. So I think my S tier is all set. I think this is all S tier. This is all totally fine. I think fire is the best typing in the game. You get access to the best move pool. You resist enough things. You're not weak to like types that are that detrimental to you. I think it's totally fine. Electric, similar type of thing. Normal, similar type of thing. Water, same thing. In my A tier, I have typings that I think that they can win runs or have won runs, but it's a little bit harder because you have maybe a little bit more shallow of a move pool. Maybe you need a good pairing, like flying or poison need a good pairing in order to like be good. I mean, poison's getting carried really hard by water here. I'm not gonna lie. If water didn't exist, poison would be a lot worse. But you know, so I think that types that are pretty good have a lot of good offensive options, or some good offensive options while having really good defensive options or enough offensive options. B tier is for things that have pretty glaring weaknesses, but also I think are strong in some way. So like I think Steel, right, has a glaring weakness. You have a lot of really bad 2x weaknesses, but you can be paired with a couple types that get rid of some of those. Additionally, you're immune to poison, immune to sandstorm, which is like both really insane. Rock is very similar. Ground's very similar in that regard. So yeah, so ground and fighting. I mean, so fighting has a lot of like good moves that are associated with it. I just think defensively it's not a very great typing, and there's not a lot of really good fighting type Pokemon that exist. So for that reason, I have it a little bit lower than this. But fighting can be a really good supplemental type. Like I'll look at fighting again. Like we have Blaziken is the best fighting type. I think Blaziken's the best fighting type. That's what I got to the Elite Four with. I think that other than Blaziken, there's like nothing. Other than Blaziken, there's nothing, right? What's the next best fighting type? Heracross? Heracross having a 4x weakness to flying is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, honestly. Like, yeah, there's just not a lot of good fighting types. Oh, Machamp. Machamp is okay. I will say Machamp is okay. I think Machamp can definitely win a run. Yeah, Machamp is okay. I think Machamp is all right. I think it's all right. But another thing, too, is that physical typings are a little bit worse than special typings offensively. Like, you'll notice that water, electric, fire, these are all special types. Normal's a physical type, but normal, there's so many good normal type moves. I just have to put it up here. So, like, I think fighting is okay. Fighting can definitely win a run. I just think that, like, the typing itself is not amazing. It doesn't give you the same advantages that Ground, Rock, Steel give you as supplemental types. and like I just think that it's a little bit less likely than those three, but I think it can still win a run. And then Dragon Ghost are types that like offensively are just terrible, but are pretty good defensively. And finally in C tier we have Grass, Bug, and Ice. I think Ice is the worst type. I think Ice defensively is so bad. I would rather have. I think there's more good Bugs than there are good Ice types in general. And there's more good Grass types than there are Bug and Ice types. Grass types have actually won the challenge before because starting Pokemon learn a lot of moves, and having a good move pool is one of the most important things of a run, in addition to having good stat spread. So the conclusion to this, I would say, is that stat spread, move pool are the two most important things. The type can make or break the run in some instances, but most of the time the type is just like a vessel for your Pokemon or a vessel for your move set. You really want it to be the case that like if you can get Stab, great. Not necessary to beat the run. If you can get it, it's fine. But the more important thing is that stat spread and that move pool. You just want a Pokemon that can run with those things and be good enough, and maybe shore up a couple of the weaknesses that make the Pokemon more likely to die. So like Rock type immuning Sand, I think, is like, that Rock and Steel types immuning Sand, and then Steel types immuning Poison, and Poison types immuning Poison, put them a lot higher over these other types that don't do that, just because those are ways that you can lose a run in Kaizo Ironmon. They're just not attached to that many good Pokemon that's relevant. So anyways, chat, that's my tier list. This is my final thoughts. What do you think? If you're on YouTube, what do you think in the comments down below? Let me know your thoughts or anything about that. Chat, say goodbye to YouTube. We're going to close this off for YouTube, but if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Or you can come over and chat with me at twitch.tv/econchan. So bye, YouTube. Take care. Bye, YouTube.